imagine it's now, say, 2040. And the world has made really startlingly good progress in reducing CO2 emissions and in reducing climate risk. We're really at the very best end of where we thought we would be in 2020. So I wondered if you can just talk about imagining in 2040, what were the key actions or interventions that really did make a difference over the last 20 years?
Well, I absolutely agree with you. This is what we're missing. We have a very vivid and detailed picture of the apocalyptic future that we're trying to avoid. And science has painted that clearly. But we do not have a picture of what we're heading towards. And we need it, because it isn't just about avoiding the worst, it's about heading towards the best. So since we're talking about books, I wanted to mention a book that I think does a fantastic job of this. And it is written by the perfect person to write that book, which is Christiana Figueres. She, of course, is the architect of the Paris Agreement. She has been immersed in the Conference of Parties international negotiations on climate change for years. And just last year, she wrote a book called The Future We Choose, where she describes what that world looks like. And it is the most hopeful book, the most positive book, the most inspiring book that I have ever read about climate change. Because it isn't just telling us what we're running away from, it's actually telling us what we're running towards. Like, for example, a world where the skies are as blue as they were during the lockdown and COVID in spring 2020, where instead of 9 million people a year dying prematurely from air pollution, 9 million a year die from air pollution every year. Just to put that in context, we just passed 3 million globally from COVID in spring 2021. Instead, we have a world where the air is clean, where the water is clean, where there is abundant food for everyone, where people live in safety, where you grow your own energy on the roof of your house and the paint on the walls. You grow some food in your garden. You can walk places, so your health is much better. And when you go places, you have many different options like electric bikes and public transportation. You see people, you interact with people more regularly instead of living in our little sealed capsules like so many people do in big cities around the world. We have a future that's better than the one that we have now. So we're not just fighting to preserve what we have against loss, we're actually fighting for something that's better. How are we going to get there? Well, there's no one magic thing. If you could just wave a magic wand and make one thing happen, there's no one thing that will get us there. But a big part of it is understanding that our economy has let us down. Kate Raworth, of course, is famous for the whole idea of donut economics, the introduction of a circular economy. And she makes a very good point. And I have to say, I'm not an economist myself, and I don't even enjoy reading economics, but her book, Donut Economics, was stellar. I loved reading that book. She says, we haven't valued what goes into our economy, all the resources we take from our earth, and we haven't valued the waste that comes out of it, all the resources that we spew into the atmosphere and the oceans and our land. And so if we could truly value every aspect of our resources in a truly circular economy where what we take out gets used, then gets recycled back again, and talking about, the rare earth minerals that we use to make solar panels, or just even our waste can be recycled into something useful. If we, that I think is the biggest step to getting to that better future. And how do we do that? A lot of that has to be policy mechanisms, like putting prices on carbon so that people understand it's not free to put it into the atmosphere. Putting prices on waste so people understand it has a value and it could be turned into something else. Accelerating the transition to technologies that are better, but there might be barriers, in some cases, not even financial, just knowledge barriers in terms of implementing them. And also understanding that we're so wasteful, we can be so much more efficient with our energy. Where I live in the United States, 67% of energy is wasted. They often say in rich countries about 40% of food is wasted, but the statistics I've seen from my home country of Canada are 58% of food is wasted, which is just horrifying. Because first of all, there's people going hungry. Second of all the resources that go into growing food. And then third, when the food decays, it produces heat trapping gases. So just living a very different life where we actually value things with their true value, instead of the incredibly skewed economy that we live in today, where people don't value things like parenting. They don't value things like food waste. They don't value things like carbon emissions or plastic pollution. We don't value the things that we should be valuing because, again, we're all humans living on this planet and we all want it to be a safe and secure place for all of us and our children in the future. And that means we really have to change what we value.